Good evening and welcome. My name is Danny Peltz, and I'm a grandson of Holocaust survivors. And I have the privilege of serving as both a member of the board of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach and chair for tonight's program. As we gather here tonight, yet another defining moment in Jewish history, as our beloved Israel is at war, we mourn our Israeli brothers and sisters who were murdered in the heinous and barbaric Hamas attacks that began on October 7th, as well as the 345 brave and proud IDF soldiers who have given their lives so far to protect the ability of our people to live as a free people in our land. We believed we would never again see in our lifetime the kind of hate and evil that has descended upon Israel. Not since the Holocaust have 1,400 Jews been murdered in a single day. Let that sink in for a moment. We also pray for the safe return of the hostages, which heartbreakingly includes babies, children, and elderly. Tonight, we have come together to remember Kristallnacht of 85 years ago, to mourn those lost. Our strength and one of our core values that sustains us as a people is our enduring commitment to Jewish community and our unequivocal resolve to combat hate in every form. We must stand united now in solidarity against anti-Semitism for Jews everywhere and for all humanity. And how fitting that we stand here at the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, a beacon of collective Jewish memory and Jewish perseverance. Another thing that has sustained our people for millennia is hope. So, to begin our program this evening, I'd like to call on Cantor Norman Cohen-Fowler and congregants of Temple Sinai of North Dade to lead us in the singing the Star-Spangled Banner in Israel's national anthem, Hatikva, which in Hebrew means the hope.
Twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous sky, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets trembling, that all thirsty air gave proof that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Sophia, Yerushalayim.
Thank you, Cantor Cohen-Fowler, and thank you, your congregants. I'd like to acknowledge a number of dignitaries who are here with us tonight. Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, Miami-Dade County Commission Chairman Oliver Gilbert, Miami-Dade County Commissioner Mickey Steinberg, Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber, Miami Beach Commissioner Laura Dominguez, Miami Beach Commissioner Alex Fernandez, Miami Beach Commissioner Stephen Miner, Consul General of Canada in Miami, Sylvia Cesarano, Consul General of Italy in Miami, Michaela Misto, Consul General of Japan in Miami, Tatsuhiro Nakai, Deputy Consul General of Israel in Miami, Mike Drikes, Deputy Consul of the Consulate General of Brazil in Miami, Jose Renato Rui Ferreira, Deputy Consul General, Kingdom of the Netherlands in Miami, Ojo Brands, and representing the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, Brian Bilson, a passport chair. Many of our elected officials who are typically in attendance are on their way to Tallahassee to attend a special session in which our state will address Israel, Iran, and Jewish community security. Thank you for all that you do. I'd like to recognize and thank Kristallnacht Chair Emeritus Wendy Rice Rothfield, who has had a tremendous impact on our Holocaust Memorial programs over the years. We also offer our profound appreciation and respect to the founders of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, visionaries, one and all, who conceived and fought for the existence of this vital landmark. Norman Brayman, Jack Chester, of blessed memory, Dr. Helen Fagan, of blessed memory, George Goldblum, of blessed memory, Selig Golden, of blessed memory, Ezra Katz, Abe Resnick, of blessed memory, David Schachter, Rabbi Solomon Schiff, of blessed memory, Harry B. Smith, of blessed memory, and Kenneth Treaster. Tonight, we are commemorating the 85th anniversary of Kristallnacht, also referred to as the spark that ignited the Holocaust, when, on November 9th and 10th, 1938, the Jews of Germany and Austria were terrorized by thugs, hooligans, and the German military in a horrifying pogrom that lasted weeks. Kristallnacht was the prelude to the catastrophic assault on the very existence of the Jewish people. Tonight, we join together as a community to revisit this immeasurable tragedy. Shockingly, we find the events of Kristallnacht and the Holocaust as a whole as painful and as real as ever, given the world we are living in and the alarming rise in anti-Semitism across the globe. Our first speaker is the immediate past chair of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach and an officer of the Greater Miami Jewish Federation. His sensitivity to the histories and lessons of the Shoah and his dedication and outstanding leadership have contributed greatly to the memorial and to our Jewish community. Please welcome Sidney Perkman.
Thank you, Danny, and good evening to everyone. I'd like to first extend our condolences to Holocaust Memorial Chair Jessica Katz and her family, including founder Ezra Katz. Jessica is not able to be here tonight due to the loss of her beloved aunt. May her memory be a blessing. It is a privilege to be here with all of you, and particularly with those of you who survived the Shoah. The horrific events of Kristallnacht in November 1938 set in motion a diabolical campaign of Jewish genocide. But the Jewish people prevailed, and with remarkable fortitude and undeterred spirit, survivors played a critical role in building up of the State of Israel, our cherished Jewish homeland, and made extraordinary contributions on behalf of the Jewish people worldwide. Since the war in Israel began, we have seen anti-Semitism skyrocket to new and dangerous heights, both in America and around the world. I don't need to tell you the specifics. You've all seen the news. But even before the recent hostilities, anti-Semitism was significantly on the rise. Just last year, the United States, in 2022, the Anti-Defamation League recorded 3,697 anti-Semitic incidents, a 36% increase since 2021, and the highest number of incidents on record since the ADL began tracking anti-Semitism incidents in 1979. This was also the third time in the past 5 years that the year-end total was the highest number ever recorded. And the ADL reports, within the first 2 weeks of the Hamas-Israel war, anti-Semitism acts in the United States rose by almost 400%. The deplorable anti-Jewish acts and sentiments that we are witnessing daily in small towns, big cities, and across college campuses require us to redouble our commitment to coming together during times like these and educating everyone about the dangers of unbridled hate. To that end, this evening is the start of our annual Holocaust Education Week, which runs through this Thursday, November 9th, and in which the Shoah will be explored through a series of in-person and virtual film presentations, lectures, and community discussions. All programs for students and adults alike are free and open to the public. Our first event, directly following Kristallnacht, this Kristallnacht Memorial, is a screening of the documentary My 100 Children, the story of Lena Kuchler, a courageous Holocaust survivor and teacher who cared for young children survivors as they fled anti-Semitism in Poland. Those who wish to join us for this screening, please meet at the statue of the mother and children to my left at the end of the program. The Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach is poised for a major expansion. It will include a new 7,000 square foot education center that will increase our capacity to host visitors by 300%. The center will feature the innovative Holocaust learning experience, Dimensions and Testimony, an interactive platform developed by the USC Shoah Foundation, which will enable visitors to have virtual conversations with survivors, both preserving the memory of the Holocaust and bringing it to life in the present. I'd like to recognize Norman Raymond and Ezra Katz, two of our founders of the memorial, for their inspired leadership in this historic expansion. In addition, I would like to acknowledge the efforts of the memorial's dedicated staff and volunteers who lead educational programs in our schools and for adult groups, enlightening the public as they share the enduring lessons of the Holocaust. And I also want to express our profound appreciation and gratitude to the Greater Miami Jewish Federation for its unwavering support of this treasured community landmark. On behalf of Jessica and the entire board and staff of this remarkable memorial, I welcome you, and together we pray for the speedy and successful conclusion to Israel's war against terror. Thank you.
Thank you, Sydney. We sincerely appreciate the many community leaders who have joined us tonight in our commemoration of Kristallnacht. It is now my honor to call Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Cava to speak on this solemn occasion.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, yet again. 85 years since the beginning of Kristallnacht, 2 days that mark the beginning of one of humanity's darkest chapters. And we gather here this evening to honor the memory of all of those we lost in the years that followed, and to reaffirm our commitment to standing together against hatred and violence in all forms, both at home and abroad. And we gather here at a pivotal moment, we all know, in our Jewish community, for Israel, for the Middle East, really for the world, the whole world. We are all, with bated breath, praying, hoping, working for restoration of peace. As we've witnessed these devastating attacks and all of the revelations since October 7th, these challenges have become ever more real. I'm deeply heartbroken like all of you, and we're here in solidarity, and I'm very, very concerned for our community, for our nation, for the Middle East, for Israel, for our world. Our hearts break for all those who have lost their lives and their family members, and those for whom we wait for news, those who were taken hostage. The loss of innocent life anywhere, especially on the scale that we are now seeing, is a tragedy and a violation of our highest values. We are gathered here tonight for morality. Thank you, Mayor Helmer, for reminding us. We must come together as a global community. We must protect innocent lives across the region in a humanitarian crisis, and we must continue to work for a world of peace among nations without violence. And we must stand united to build a safer, more tolerant, more inclusive community right here at home. And please, let's all notice how inclusive we are right here in Miami-Dade County, and how much support we do receive in this community for our struggles. Just weeks ago, I announced that Miami-Dade County would be investing in additional Israeli bonds, an additional $25 million, bringing our total to $76 million. It sends a clear message that we stand together with the people of Israel and for all nations that champion democracy. And I know that it feels right now like the tide of progress is at an ebb, and that gains that we have fought for since that tragic Kristallnacht, broken glass night, are eroding. We're living in a time of increasing anti-Semitism, we all know that. Anti-Semitic violence, and Islamophobia too. And this should not be about religion. We must respect and honor our religions. But misinformation is spreading wildly and dangerously. Recent months and years have seen vicious attacks on synagogues, and the number of hate crimes against Jews continues to rise. And now, since the events of October 7th, we've seen escalating hate crimes against innocent lives and families across our country. In times like this, it can be hard to see light through the darkness. But here we are together in light. In the darkest times, we must remember that setbacks are an inherent part of human progress, and that the road we have taken to get to today was not a straight line, and nor will it be a straight line as we proceed from here. But we can together turn the tide toward greater inclusivity and tolerance for all people. And we have so much more, we know that brings us together than divides us, especially in our beloved Miami-Dade County, where we are so blessed to have not only the diversity, but the inclusion. Truly, we come together. We know we have families from all across the world that live here, that come here, they have the same shared hopes and dreams for themselves and their families and their futures. And so we must remember and recommit that when we stand together with other groups facing violence and oppression, we will overcome this hate and we will shine light where there is darkness. We must respond to hatred and ugliness with love, grace, and compassion. And we do and we will, and that is why we're here together. By building bridges of common ground, we will get to higher ground. That is the only way. So thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to so many who are here, because that is what we must do to overcome divisiveness. Thanks to the many leaders who stand tall, who are committed to a kinder community, country, and globe. And as your mayor, your first Jewish mayor, I am very proud every day to live the values of inclusion, tolerance, and equity with the beloved members of our community, and know that right here we will do our part, not only to stand strong right here, but for the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Levine Kama. Please welcome to the podium our next speaker, a great friend of the Holocaust Memorial and our spectacular partner in so many of our efforts, Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelder.
Good evening, shalom. Mayor Kama, thank you for your morality-based leadership. We are grateful for that. And thank you to the Holocaust Committee, the Federation, to the Katz and Raymond families, and to my friend David Schechter, who will be on stage in a few minutes, and any survivor or child of survivor or grandchild of survivor is here. Thank you. So I'm Dan Gelder, and I do like to begin every time I address anybody in front of the Holocaust Memorial by saying something that cannot be said enough. And although this is a solemn occasion, I'll say it slightly loudly. I am a Zionist. Just before midnight on November 8, 1938, the Gestapo chief Henrik Mueller sent out a telegram to Germany. And he sent it to police stations, fire stations, and he said, in short order, there will be actions against the Jews, against their businesses, against them, especially against their synagogues. And nobody should get in the way of those actions. So they told their police department and their fire departments to do absolutely nothing as these generated pogroms began. And of course, hundreds of synagogues were burned to rubble, hundreds of people were slaughtered. The terror of 85 years ago could be easily confused with the terror of 29 days ago in so many ways, in its brutality and its savagery, in the elements of hate that defined it in every way. And somehow, within days, a wave of anti-Semitism started to sweep the world. On college campuses, in every country, in broad daylight, in the shadows. Just anti-Semitism everywhere. Somehow, Jews were blamed for what was going on, which is something that was quite amazing to me. But we should not be surprised at all as Jews. Think about it. Almost every memorial in the world is a memorial to simply the memory of people who died. And ours are too, obviously. Today we are commemorating people who died, 85 years ago. And what happened there? This Holocaust Memorial is, of course, a memorial to the 6 million who died. But our memorials have an entirely other purpose that most other memorials don't have. A purpose which is best encapsulated by the watchwords that are always said around this memorial. Never again. Why do all memorials have to say that? Why must we say that to the world, never again? They don't say that anywhere else, but we know we have to say it because we know what hate looks like, as well as anyone in the history of the world. We've seen it, we've seen its ugly face, we've seen it lie in wait, we've seen it spend its billions on tunnels and bombs rather than parks and schools. We've seen what hate can do. And so for us, our job has to be, as we commemorate this terrible event 85 years ago, that we take the same moment to do what Jews must do and what non-Jews must do as well, which is to speak out against the hate and chase it back into the corners where it will remain as long as we can keep it there. That is what we must be doing. So for me, I see this as not simply a moment of commemoration, but I always will see it as a moment of action. We must call out university presidents who do not understand that their campuses are not a refuge for hate speech that only incites violence. We must call out politicians and celebrities who think that not saying anything is what they, or saying something worse, helps them with their fan base. And we must be truth tellers to those journalists who feel obliged to create false equivalencies when there is no equivalency. There is no context to the murdering of babies. And we must be strong and loud. So when people tell us that, well, we must recede, we must stop, that we must negotiate, we need to tell them that we know what hate is. We have seen it before. We commemorate it today, and we understand it every single day, and that we will recede when our kidnapped victims are returned and Hamas is dismantled. Then we will recede. 85 years ago, the firefighters in Germany sat down and watched hundreds of synagogues and people burned. They watched it happen. Today we know better. Tomorrow morning, I will watch as 8 of our firefighters begin their journey to Israel to protect Israel. 9 of these firefighters are on the LL flight in the morning. And that is the point. We cannot stand by and do nothing. Every one of us has to do everything we can. This is exactly the time to stand up. This is not the time to hide. This is not the time to be silent. This is not the time to tell your kids to not put that cross around, that Jewish star around their neck. This is not the time to do that. This is the time to let the world know that we're not going anywhere, that we are here to stay. Yisrael.
Thank you, Mayor Galper. Also with us tonight is Deputy Consul General of Israel in Miami, Mike Triguez, who will address us at this very critical time for Israel and Jews everywhere. As Deputy Consul General comes up, let me express, on behalf of all of us here this evening and our entire community, our profound condolences to all people of Israel for their losses and our heartfelt wishes for the release of each and every one of the hostages being held in Gaza.
Shalom. Kristallnacht. If this event had happened 31 days ago, I would have probably started this speech completely differently. I would have stated that 85 years ago, this terrible night was a turning point for the dark future that awaited Am Yisrael. I would have proudly stated that never again had meaning. But today, in the Shloshim of our mourning, while completing 30 days of grief that we all share since this terrible day of October 7th, please allow me first to join President Herzog's request and light the candle for our slaughtered brothers and sisters and for our brave soldiers who have fallen, including 2 of my brothers in arms, Moshe and Eliyahu Chayon Zichronam Livracha. I urge you to do the same when you come back home. And now, after lighting this candle of hope, this beacon of both unity and grief, I will share the frightening fact that in those days when no Jew can feel safe anywhere in the world, when anti-Semitism has reached new heights after breaking all records in the past 5 years, never again is now. The only difference between this dark day on November 1938 and the atrocities of October 7th is that today we can do something about it. Because the 91 victims of Kristallnacht didn't have anyone to rely on. But the 1400 soldiers of Simchat Torah do have someone. Although the Nazi monsters haven't disappeared, although they have merely changed their faces, today Jews cannot be afraid anymore. Because they are not stateless anymore, because they have a home, they have the beautiful state of Israel. And just as we established this wonderland from the ashes of the Holocaust, with the same spirit that we transformed our ancestral homeland into the safe haven for all the Jewish people around the world, I can promise you tonight, especially tonight, as the former representative of the State of Israel, that with God's help and with our unity as a nation, we will rebuild the villages, we will release all our hostages, and we will eradicate the terrorists of Hamas and anyone who will dare to threaten the future of our nation. Because since the day we became a nation, 3,500 years ago, enemies and monsters have tried to wipe us from the surface of the earth, from empires who fought our Maccabees to coward terrorists who butchered our women and children. And here we are, strong and united together, to show that they didn't succeed then, and that they will certainly not, never succeed. In the past 48 hours, we had the privilege to host 4 Israeli families who have lost some of their loved ones, while others of their families have been abducted to Gaza by these Nazi savages. The strongest moment was when Eliezer, the 85-year-old Holocaust survivor, who is volunteering to help Israel since day one, hugged Adi, the mother of Noah, her abducted daughter, and told her that this is the first time that he feels that people finally understand what he went through. His other message was to remain strong and united. So, following Eliezer's wisdom, if there is a message I wish to convey tonight, in this new turning point of our history as a nation, is for everyone to speak up, to never remain silent, and to know that Israel has your back. We are hurt, we are in deep grief, but we are strong, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we will prevail, together, ביחד. עם הנצח לא מפחד מדרך ארוכה. The eternal nation is not afraid of the long journey. Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Consul General Enriquez. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Israel. Echoing the significance of Kristallnacht today, Holocaust survivors, along with second and third generation survivors, will now read an open letter mourning both the tragic events that signaled the start of the Shoah 85 years ago and the recent massacre of Israelis at the hands of Hamas terrorists.
It looks like the signal is lost. Are you sure? Are you in Oracle's transfer?
Right back.
It got that? Yeah. It was stopped.
Fine.
Thank you both for that truly beautiful performance. Our next speaker, Sal Plau, was born in Tarko, Hungary in 1930 and was only 13 years old when he and his family were deported to Auschwitz. After surviving the war, Saul immigrated to Israel and eventually the US. He now resides in Val Harbor and serves as a docent at the Holocaust Memorial. He joins us now to relate his personal journey.
Good evening. Thank you very much for being here. I'm a 92-year-old Holocaust survivor. Also, nothing like the heroic like Israeli emphasis today. It was a very early stages. So I'm here a regular participant in Holocaust education in the memorial, and I speak to young people or anybody that comes and listens once in a while about the Holocaust, and I have a very easy way of relating my story. And since October the 7th, I'm not the same person anymore, and I have a hard time. What should I talk about? What happened 85 years ago, or 80 years ago, or what is today's painful happenings, what is happening today. So it's very, very difficult, and I'm on an emotional roller coaster. And my best experience on the Shoah, on the Holocaust, and depends. It doesn't go day by day. It's usually hour by hour. Depends how often I open up CNN and I watch the chants on the college campuses from the river to the sea, and Intifada, which I know we all know about what it means. So that's why it's very, very difficult for me talk, taking up the subject. But in the same time, I was only 8 years old when Kristallnacht happened in 1938. At that time, I didn't know anything about it. I only learned about Kristallnacht years after the Holocaust, when I studied Jewish history and contemporary history. And I also learned about the heroes of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising and the partisans. So, and the only difference today is that after October 7th came October 8th. even though the Israeli army took their attention from the borders, because it was Simchat Torah and Jews who are very loyal to the Israeli defense and to the army, but they also love to be home with their families and go to shul. So unfortunately, they were not there when these horrible things happened, and we know the consequences and what went so very deep. But it's a mighty Israeli army. They are willingly will prevail and will eventually secure the borders, and hopefully we don't know how that income is going to be, because it's constantly about ceasefire. They always save the murderers with ceasefire. So what I do know, I will present my story of in short form. I was born in December 17, 1930 in Hungary, in a small village which had maybe 55 Jewish families. And I experienced anti-Semitism at a very, very young age. Because I went to elementary public school, and it was Hungary was an ally of Germany and did not occupy, but all the laws that was passed in Nuremberg, in Germany, they also were passed in Hungary with the fascist government. And so when I went to school, I was a small 7, 8, 9-year-old kid, and the schoolyard was fairly safe, but the teachers were very anti-Semitic. They wouldn't call us by our first name. They called us the Jew boy or Jew girl. So, but the schoolyard, it was fairly safe. But on the way home from school, I had to go on the bullies that were trying to hurt Jewish kids. So I was a fighter from a young age. I lined up with bloody noses and cracked skulls most of the time. My mother was waiting by the window, praying that I get home safe. And things were very, very difficult in those days. And we know about all the killing fields that was going on in Ukraine and Polish countryside, but nobody knew about it. But we were home, the parents were trying to control the kids, and I am one of 7 siblings. I was part of a Hasidic family, and in 1944, the Germans walked into Hungary, and the fascist government was very, very happy to accommodate them, and Adolf Hitler came. And one morning, the last day of Passover, 1944, they knocked on the window. Jew, get up, because you have to be 10 o'clock in the morning on a schoolyard for deportation. And you could have 10 or 15 pounds of personal belongings. And that's what happened. They took us to a neighboring town, put us up in a brick factory, under horrible conditions, and one morning they announced everybody has to line up and walk the railroad station. We walked the railroad station, the empty cattle cars were there. They loaded us into the empty cattle cars, 90 to 95 people at the cattle car. And when they closed the door on that cattle car, such a harsh sound to it, and has a ledge outside that they close, and then the sound still rings in my ear, and I myself adopted to hear the memorial. I cannot escape. It reminds me of that sound. That sounds Anyway, after 2.5 days, being under those conditions, we arrived to Auschwitz, got on the train, and we managed to drive chaotic, horrible things were happening there, and somebody approached me who was already a prisoner, and of course they were a Jewish person, and he told me, "You're not," they asked me how old I am, I said, "I'm 13 years old." He says, "You're not 13, you are 16 years old, there is going to be a selection, and you have to go to a selection, and you make sure you say you are 16, and you are strong, you are ready to work." And sure enough, I got to it when the selection was, and with the stroke of the finger, Mengele, that was called the angel of death, sent me. At that time, nobody knows where, what direction, but I lined up between the living. And that night, after they took away our clothes, they came up with uniform. We lined up in a barrack, and completely lost, maybe 2,000 feet away from the crematorium and the chimneys, and nobody knew yet what was going on. But this person who was charged with this particular barrack explained us, "You see the flames, your loved ones were already disposed of within 2.5 hours from the time you arrived." And so one did not register exactly what he was talking about. Anyway, next day I was taken to Auschwitz, which is very close by. I was tattooed. My tattoo is the A3913, because I was between the first Hungarian Jews in Auschwitz, that's why the number is very low. And I wind up in a satellite camp in Auschwitz, which was called the Avishovitz, that was a coal mining camp. And luckily I didn't line up in a coal mine. They picked 180 teenage boys to work in the factory to process the coal comes out. Because anybody that lined up in a coal mine didn't last more than 8 to 10 weeks. And they were exchanged for a new people that just came from the transport. So I was in that camp from middle of May 1945, and in 1944, till January 17 of 1945, when the Russian army really started to move very strong against the German forces. They wanted to liberate the Americans. At that time, they started the death march. So we were taken on the death march. They marched maybe 24 days. It was an empty train, and I lined up in Buchenwald, which was a very famous political prisoner since 1938. And when we heard that we have to go through the shower and disinfection, we thought that's Auschwitz all over again. So we were very frightened. We said goodbye to each other because we were very close. We were 180 kids to that particular job, and so to our amazement, hot water came from our gas. So we came alive again, and I spent 3 months in Buchenwald, and there were 2 children's barracks, one in the Jewish camp, which was terrible condition, barracks 66. I wind up in the main camp, which was barrack 8, which was a dummy showcase for the Danish net crews. So we got a little better treatment. And Buchenwald had that point at 105,000. And a week before the liberation, they started the death marches again. And that was the deadliest one because people were before the president of the chaotic, and people were shot and killed. And they were run down condition. So this political prisoner who was in charge of the running of the camp want to save the children. They kept us back through the death marches. So finally, they got liberated by the American forces, April 11th, General Patton, and his army liberated us. And so was the first camp, tanks alive in the camp. It was showered with Hershey bars and chewing gum, and it was some liberation. And that was the first camp that American forces came. And between American forces was a Jewish chaplain from New York. His name was Rabbi Hershey Shapiro. And he took a lot of interest in the young people. There were 904 teenage kids that were liberated there, and he took very big interest right away to help us because we were lost, we had no parents left, we had no family. So he helped us to get some direction. But the first transport went to Czechoslovakia, to go back to Hungary to find some family members, hopefully. My siblings were much older than me. And I got into Prague. From Prague, I hitched a ride on the train, on top of the train to Budapest. That was the only way to travel. So many refugees were going left and right. And we kids, they climbed up, they were not smart enough, we climbed up down the train, but we got there. And I was looking for some family. I found an older sister of mine. Her apartment was blocked out. I had no room, she had no room for me. But I find my way at the Zionist Youth Organization, which is very active, ready, and I spent 3 years in Budapest and in the occupation high school. And for us it was something that we didn't just have to have publicity as what happened to us in the Shoah. We had something to look forward to in the state. And eventually take part in 1948. I left Hungary in September, and by November I got to Israel. And I just almost got out at 18 years old, so I was drafted into the army right away. And I spent basic training, and after I wound up in the Israeli Air Force. So for me, it was such a I mean, the Hebrew word means was such a thing that I survived to begin with, and to have taken part in that dream of the state. So I am a very lucky, and I can't even tell you in words how I feel, but no, I am not the same person. Very deeply, the personal connection, and the whole Jewish experience, and it's very frightening, and I said that it's rampant all over the world, and in the United States also. So it's not the alone by it is wild in the United States, because European Jewry is in a very shaky ground. But it's the mighty force. The grounds are shaking in Gaza. People think that these murderers, so of a homicidal maniacs or to stop at the Israeli border and murder the state. They have other things in their mind. Greater things than just Israel. So, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for listening.
'Thank you, Saul, for sharing with us your thoughts and your precious memories. I'd like to bring up to the stage two participants in the Holocaust Memorial Docent Program whose grandparents were Holocaust survivors, Karen Shapiro-Pardo and Jen Weisbisch. They will read for us the testimony of one teenager who lived through Kristallnacht and another who survived the Hamas terror attacks in Israel on October 7th. Curated by Holocaust Memorial Executive Director Sharon Horowitz, the testimonies display startling parallels in their accounts of the terror and the horror of their youthful wartime experiences.
"85 years have passed since the event we are remembering tonight. For years, these memories, too painful to live with, were pushed into the background, but they must come out as a warning for new generations, as a reverent cottage for those who perished, as an awareness of an important part of our own lives. What was it like to be an adolescent in Nazi Germany in 1938? It was a surreal quality of which we were hardly aware then. We were teenagers then."
Yuli Ben-Ami of Kibbutz Be'eri testified, "At 9:30, my mom sent me a message that the terrorists were trying to get into the house and they tried to break the door. They were shooting into the safe place. She wrote that she's scared and doesn't know what to do. And I think like 10 or 15 minutes later, my mother and my father sent us a message that the attackers, are in the house and are breaking everything. At 10:06, my father sent us a message. There in the safe room, they caught us. I feel that maybe they were looking for families. They roamed through the entire neighborhood where my parents lived, and almost everyone there were families with small children. And they burned all of their houses."
Backyard, tall chestnut trees in two stately rows shade our play. Their candle blossoms of snowy white, edged in pink, promise us a fairy tale future, but the year is 1933. The 1,000-year reich has begun. We can outlast them, says father. We ought to know. Memories of a young girl. I am a 17-year-old Jewish girl. I have dropped out of school to prepare for emigration to America and taken a job as a mother's helper. But then the doorbell rings. It is my mother, bringing disturbing news. The synagogue's on fire. All over town, Jewish men are being arrested and sent to concentration camps. Mother wants me home. The phone service has been cut. That's why she couldn't call for me. No telling what else may happen. She worries about my brother, who is away in an agricultural training camp. No one knows what is happening there. Before we leave the family I work for, Mother urges the father in the apartment to come with us and hide in our apartment. Now and then, one can hear the sounds of explosions from the dynamite used to destroy the remnants of our synagogue. My friend and playmate has been arrested, right out of our apartment. What a shock. They are actually putting teenagers in jail? Police vans rush past, carrying more Jewish men and boys to prison. Clustered at street corners and in front of houses, men and women watch as their Jewish neighbors are being led away. Some split, others are neutral, non-committal. None dares to show sympathy to Jews. It is far too risky. Fear clutches at my throat. These things can't be happening, but they have happened. Innocent people are in prison. Stores and homes are being vandalized, dishes broken, windows smashed. Anything's possible. Only yesterday we were still sure that such things could not be.
Arbel Ashkenazi, music fair attendee. We arrived at the party Friday night. and at around 6 in the morning on Saturday, they stopped the music and sirens started to sound. At that same time, we also started to hear gunshots from every direction and voices shouting, Allahu Akbar. While we were running in that open field, we could see in the distance some of the Hamas people. They were wearing all black, with black masks and these huge guns.
Kristallnacht, 1938. We feel naked, alone, totally isolated, vulnerable. We are alone. As I'm walking along the familiar streets in my own neighborhood, I feel that I am in enemy territory. A drunken, lawless mob is in control, and the police keep their hands off.
Arba Ashkenazi again. The hardest part is to see all the bodies of the young kids our age with blood laid out on the floor. We were in an environment of pure chaos. I was saved by a miracle and was left in peace. But many of my friends, including my best friend Eden, are still there, and I just want everyone to return safely and in peace. I just want this horrible story to end because it doesn't feel real. It's not normal. In any country, any place, nobody should have to go through something like this. It didn't make any sense. We ran like crazy people in the middle of an open field while they were shooting at us. There was no place to run, no place to hide. And I'm grateful to be alive, but I just want my friend Eden back.
I've gone to our friends because I heard that the police had already searched there, and Mrs. Brock did not hesitate to let me hide in her apartment. She is kind, and I am desperate. Just now the bell rang, and I jumped. I'm afraid, even though I've done nothing. What times are these, when innocent people can be slapped into jail or sent to concentration camp for nothing, for being Jewish? Mrs. Brock has come back from opening the door. It's only the janitor, she says, come to fix the furnace. I just as soon he didn't see me here. Mrs. Brock points to a door leading to a small room. I open the door and go in quickly. I have my little prayer book with me. I open it to Psalm while wondering what's happening at home. There's the bell again, louder this time and very long, as though the bell ringer's finger got stuck on the bell. Oh God, I hear the sound of gruff men voices and heavy footsteps. They're coming. Oh God, they're coming for me.
Shani Hadar from Hadera, Israel. Music fair attendant. They came to slaughter, to destroy. I know they kidnapped girls, that they raped women even after killing them. The terrorists stole IDF uniforms and just started knocking on doors and pulling people out and shooting them. Just like that. You see them stepping on kids' heads, stepping on soldiers. They caught a mother and her children. They called the parents of a woman who was kidnapped and said, your daughter is alive and we're going to rape her. These are the beasts, predators, animals that don't know how to act. And it always turns around on us. I'm Israel Chai. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen and Jen. The deaths of the 6 million Jews murdered during the Shoah are forever in our hearts. We call upon Cantor Norman Cohen-Fala to lead us in the recitation of El Maleh Rachamim, the traditional Hebrew prayer for the souls of the deceased.
This is the time. And usually we remember the victims of the massacre that occurred 85 years ago. This time I wanted to add also the victims of the massacre that was so in the month of Israel. And excuse my voice. Maleh Rachamim Shochem B'meromim Ametchem Menechanechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina ומעלות כנשים וכערים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהיר את כל הנשמות, גברים ונשים, זקנים וטף, שנהרגו ונשחטו, שנשרפו ושנזכו על קידוש השם. בלילה של קריסטלנאכט בידי המרצים הגרמנים הנאצים ועוזריהם משאר העמים, וגם לנשמות תושבי מדינת ישראל, גברים ונשים, זקנים וטף, שנהרגו, שנשחטו, ושנטבחו ללא רחם על ידי חיות אדם בארגוני טרור בשדרות, אופקים, נתיבות, יער רעים ועין, נתיב העשרה, הוליד, ניר-עוז ובשאר יישובי עוטף עזה. לכן ברחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולם יהי, ויצרור בקצרור החיים את נשמותיהם. אדוני הוא נחלתה, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה, וינוחו בשלום על משכבותיו, ונאמר אמן.
Thank you, Cantor Cohen-Fala. The Kaddish reaffirms our faith in God, even when we've experienced great personal loss. Please join David Shacker, a Holocaust survivor and founder of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, as he leads us in this resonant prayer.
Amen.
Thank you, David. Cantor Cohen-Fala. As we conclude our programming, I'd like to extend my appreciation to each and every one of you for joining us. Your presence tonight speaks volumes about our community's commitment to keeping memory alive and to maintaining a united front against anti-Semitism. Thank you on behalf of Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach and our committee of dedicated volunteers who orchestrated tonight's program. We close the evening with the singing of the Hymn of the Partisans, led by cantor Norman Cohen-Falla. This song, sung by Jews worldwide and created during the Shoah, signals courage, resistance, and resilience. The lyrics, in Yiddish, English, Hebrew, and Spanish, are printed on the back of your Kristallnacht program. Before Cantor joins up to read, I just want to remind anyone interested in viewing the documentary, My 100 Children, please meet at the statue of the Mother and Children to my left at the conclusion of this program. Thank you very much for coming. Please drive home safely. Please rise and join us in a special rendition of the Hymn of the Partisans.
Also, we like some of the programs from my synagogue, Temple Sinai. And you saw that at the beginning, we were people from the youth choir, and Stan is from the adult choir.
David.